Before we start today's show today, I want to thank our great new sponsor, MyPillow. That's right, MyPillow. They sent me one of those, Mike Lindell and the guys did, and I've been sleeping on it for a couple of weeks now, and I've never slept better. Hey, I've got a huge and busy schedule. Not only do I do the show, but we run an advertising agency. We help other podcasters with their shows throughout the country. We're constantly talking to folks, going to concerts. So my sleep is very important to me. So thanks to MyPillow. And remember, it's got a 10-year warranty guarantee, 60-day money-back guarantee. And yeah, you see MyPillow in stores like Walmart and Walgreens, but you can only get the premium pillows by calling MyPillow directly. So grab you one of those premium pillows. Call this number right here, 1-800-338-2330, 1-800-338-2330. Reference the code SGNP when you talk to them and say, hey, I want that premium pillow that Darren on SGNP has. It's that simple. They'll sell it to you, and it'll make life a whole lot better. So if you're having trouble sleeping, call MyPillow today, 1-800-338-2330. Use the code SGMP or go to their website, mypillow.com, and check them out. Hey, make sure you tell them SGNP sent you.
Welcome to one of the most listened to music news podcasts in the world, SGNP, with your host, Darren Sutherland. Join us as we talk with industry leaders, artists, and entertainers about their faith, family, and careers. This is information you will not find anywhere else on radio, web, or in a magazine, but only firsthand on SGNP.
Welcome back to SGNP. Southern Gospel News Podcast. Darren Sutherland, the good doctor, Jeff R. Steele. What's the R stand for, Jeff? You never told me that. Robert. Jeff? Is it Jeffrey Robert or just Jeff Robert? What is it, man?
It depends on whether you're looking at my degrees or whether you're looking at my driver's license.
Okay, how about this? When you come home from school in the 5th grade and you had done the unthinkable, and your mother, did she say Jeffrey Robert or did she say Jeff Robert?
Jeffrey Robert, when I was in trouble.
There you go. Where you at, my man? I know we're supposed to be in the studio together coming up next week. We got some great stuff coming down. But you're traveling right now. And can I just go ahead and tell everybody you're in WrestleMania? Can I tell them that?
Well, you already have. I am in New Orleans, Louisiana.
New Orleans,
a city that, I've got to be honest, is as beautiful as I've ever seen. But, and I say this with respect to all my friends in New Orleans, ever since I've been coming here, and I've been coming here for the better part of 45 years or so, there's just a smell about this city that never goes away.
That's all in bodies they bury above the...
Right. And then there's the river, too.
Yeah. A funeral procession in New Orleans is a sight to behold, a traditional one,
Oh, yeah.
You need to see it. And if you don't know what we're talking about. So what are you doing down there at WrestleMania? I know you're a huge wrestling fan. For those of you that don't know this, Jeff, before he got into gospel music, was a professional wrestler. And before he became a DJ and all that. So, Jeff, you've always had kind of like I am to baseball, you've had a, love affair with the professional wrestling. Isn't that right?
Well, I hate to say it like this. I really have had a love affair with some of the people that I knew back then and have continued to know through the years. And it's starting to meet some of their children now. Dusty Rhodes' son, Dustin and Cody, and Ric Flair's daughter, Ashley. Well, she calls herself Charlotte on the show. She's a genetic phenomenon. That girl, she's built. She got bigger guns than I do. I mean, she works the weight room constantly. She's a former gymnast, so she can do all the moves that gymnasts would do.
Wow.
And she's going to be one of the biggest stars in the business before it's over.
Let me tell you something funny. Her dad, Ric Flair, is the Nature Boy, if you don't know who that is. And I know we're talking gospel music today on SGMP, and we got a great interview coming up. We'll talk wrestling for just a second, because I promise you, if you're a gospel music fan or country music fan or any of that, you or a loved one that is dear to you has watched wrestling. There was a time, Jeff, in this country on Channel 17 where they played professional wrestling, and then when WTBS, you remember WTBS, when it went off, they played gospel music and country music the rest of the night here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm sure where you grew up in Mississippi was very similar.
You know, gospel music fans are everywhere. You remember, I think it was last year, a couple, 3 years ago, we lost one of our biggest fans, the lady that used to play Alice on the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
She was a huge gospel music fan, and last year, Corey Wells, one of the great lead singers with Three Dog Night, he was a big gospel music fan, and if you'll go back and watch some of their videos, he had a little part on their big hit Joy to the World where he would do a little bass line, and he would even cup his hand over his ear like some of his favorite gospel bass singers. So gospel music has tremendous influence throughout the entire world and all different genres of entertainment.
You know, I've got to give a shout-out on this show to our friends in Ireland who are listening to this show in droves. And I appreciate all my friends in Ireland. One of my favorite, and this is not by a traditional gospel artist when I tell you this, but there is a YouTube video, and I'll post it on Singing SGNP's website, Southern Gospel News Podcast Facebook site, not website, their Facebook site. We're working on the website. I ain't got there yet, but we're working on it. But Southern Gospel News Podcast, go to your Facebook, register for it, and you can see things we're talking about. It's been open about a week. We've got over 2,300 members. But going back to Ireland, Bruce Springsteen did a concert live in Ireland, okay? The last song on that CD, and you can go to YouTube and listen to it, is This Little Light of Mine, okay?
Wow.
Now, you talk about something fun. Listen to that. Bruce Springsteen singing gospel music. So,
you know, there's another group called the Steels,
yeah.
Same spelling and everything, and they're African Americans, and a lot of they did a lot of background work with Prince.
Yeah.
And their biggest hit to date, I think, is the song "This Little Light of Mine." And we get confused a lot of times, not with each other, but people get us confused. And anytime anybody asks me about them, I tell them real quick, they are phenomenal. They're great.
You know, you're talking about older groups and older things. Let me go back to wrestling real quick with WrestleMania and that sort of thing that you're at before we move along. One of the saddest days of my life was like 3 years ago. I don't remember the exact, maybe it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. But I went home and I went to our bedroom and I just laid on the bed. And my wife comes in there, what is wrong with you? We're going to go walking. We're going to go outside. We're going to the gym. What are we going to do? Going to get dinner? You know, when you're 40 years old and your kids are out of the house, you can do anything you want. Well, in your mid-40s. I wished I was 40, but I'm 48 now. But the wife comes and says, what's wrong? I can't understand. And I said, Dusty Rhodes died. She said, what? I said, Dusty Rhodes. She said, who's Dusty Rhodes? I said, you just need to leave the room. You know, Jeff, part of my childhood passed away when the American Dream passed away. I had so much of my life invested in that guy. Yeah. I mean, son of a plumber. We could talk about him, and every gospel music fan knows when you mention the name Dusty Rhodes who we're talking about. So anyway, you're at WrestleMania. We got some more information coming up right after this. Jeff, I know you're in a hotel, so we can't plug you in, but I'm going to interview Jason Crabb here in just a second. And
if I was at the hotel room, you could plug me in, but I'm actually in the bowels of the Superdome right now. I've been taking my son Brad around, introducing him to some folks. It's amazing. We've actually got a picture of Brad inside the Undertaker's tomb.
Nice.
So that's one of the displays they had here, and I got a picture of him in there, and a picture of him with several other people. He's on, I say this real quick, he is on Diamond Dallas Page's yoga thing, DDP Yoga.
DDP Yoga.
He's lost 25 pounds, and when I introduced him to Diamond Dallas, Dallas heard about his weight loss and was just giddy. I mean, he was like a little schoolboy. Oh, I can't believe you're doing so well. He said, please text me when you reach your goal, and I want to do some ads with you. He wants him to advertise for DDP Yoga, and, of course, I know Brad will do it, so I'm not even worried about that.
And you know, DDP Yoga Studio is less than 5 miles from our studio where we do this, so I'm sure Brad will find his way over there. But, you know, after we come back from this great interview we're fixing to do, we're going to talk about the Brad Steele Project. And it's not a gospel project. It's a project to help all of our folks, let's say over 40 years old, that are listening to this podcast but want to get it each and every time an issue's done and not have to go through Facebook, but learn how to describe. And we're going to call it the Brad Steele Project. Is that a good idea?
BSP.
Yeah, there we go. BSP. Hey, got to take a break, pay some bills. We'll come right back with an interview with none other than Jason Crabb. And then after that, we're going back to the bowels of the Superdome with Jeff Steele right here on SGNP, Southern Gospel News Podcast from BG Ad Group.
Come see what all the smoke is about at Tony Gore's Barbecue and Grill in the heart of the Smokies, Sevierville, Tennessee. Start off with T's loaded tater chips, some great sweet tea, then have some of his famous fried chicken, a pulled or sliced pork plate, or the best barbecue ribs in the Smokies. And oh, did we mention homemade mac and cheese? And dessert lovers, it's worth the trip just for a piece of cake. Voted the best barbecue in the Smokies, Tony Gore's Barbecue and Grill in Sevierville, Tennessee. And remember, gospel music fans, you never know who you'll see while at Tony Gore's Barbecue and Grill. For more information, visit them 24/7 at TonyGore.com.
And welcome back to SGNP. Darren Sutherland on the line. Jeff had to step away for a bit. And on the Carriage Automotive Group, Kia Motors Skypline is our good friend from up in Nashville, Tennessee, by the way of Beaver Dam, Kentucky, Jason Crabb. Jason, how are you doing, my man? How are you doing today?
Man, I'm telling you what, I'm just living the dream, trying to figure out how to pay for it, but living the dream.
Hey, well, you know what? That's the good point of it. And you got a new project coming out, we hear. I want you to tell all the people out there about your new project and what's going on with it.
Well, we got a new project coming out in on April the 20th, and it's called Unexpected.
Yeah.
And so we're very excited about this. Did a lot of the writing. Also, my dad wrote a song as well on this one. But it's an older song that he wrote called Chose to Be My Friend. Mm-hmm. A guy by the name of Gary LaVox that sings with the Rascal Flatts. Mm-hmm. He sang with me on this too. Now, I cannot wait for everybody to hear this. Anybody that likes old 80s music, you know, the sound, the tones, get ready, because I'm telling you, this one makes you want to grab a guitar and get a fan and play the guitar. You know what I'm saying? And let the fan blow in your face and play the guitar. You know what I mean? And just sing. And so
there you go, Jason. We know where your roots are, and we know where you came from, and we know all that good stuff. Tell the folks out there who you've had the pleasure of singing with lately. You know, we see pictures on the internet with you from everybody, with Blake Shelton, with different folks. Who are some of the folks that you've had time to collaborate with, meet with, play with, and have some fun with over the past year that folks don't normally get to see?
Well, you know, the Lord's been good to us through the years. We've, you know, I love being with the Oaks. I love them, with them, at a couple of festivals, and also with Trace Adkins and with Blake Shelton and with Craig Morgan. I was with Keith Urban not too long ago at Opry. I mean, just Mo Pitney. I love all those people. Yeah. Great people. Also, you know, I get to be with, I was with Mercy Me the other day with Bart, which is great. He's got a great movie that's out right now that's just, man, taking everything by storm.
No doubt.
It's just been good. I mean, and then, of course, a lot of my peers that I grew up singing with, Karen Peck, and of course all of them, Singing in the Sun and just different places. Matter of fact, we're getting ready to be at Singing in the Sun, and we're going to do a great, a really neat thing. That's in Myrtle Beach, and we're got a special meet and greet that's going to be there. And for the people that come to this meet and greet, they also get the CD, so it's really cool. So you got to get your tickets for that. Whoever buys their tickets now gets to come to that for. And so, anyways, really neat thing that's going on there.
You know, you've won countless awards. If we just mentioned the awards you've won, from Grammys to fan awards and that sort of thing, we could talk all day long. But what keeps driving Jason? What keeps pushing Jason? What keeps you on the road doing this every single week after week?
Well, I will say this. There's a couple, there's quite a few things, truthfully. The main important thing is this is my calling. This is what God's called me to.
Yeah.
This is who I am. This is what He calls me out to be, I believe. It's more than a singer. I do believe that. I think it's kind of somebody told me the other day, they said you've taken on kind of a pastoral role that's out on the road. You have that mentality.
Yeah.
And I understand what they're saying. I love people, and I want to see their hearts blessed. I want to see their lives blessed and touched. I want to see people doing well. I want to see them living out what God has for them. And if you really want to do that, then that's when you rejoice when that happens. And so that's kind of, where we are. And then also, lives being changed. Of course, that's part of it. And then also, this is all I know. People tell me, say, well, hey, what do you know? I said, not much. That's why I sing. It's all I know. I mean, this is who I am.
Well, you know what you talk about, all you know. We know you know about Kentucky basketball. You love Kentucky basketball.
Oh, of course.
And we asked on our Facebook page, SGNP, we said, does anybody have any questions they want to ask Jason? So a gentleman you grew up with sent me this question, and he says, his name's Josh Howard. Does that name ring a bell?
Okay.
Josh says, he says, ask Jason, does he remember climbing trees when we were kids and his dad was our pastor?
Oh, Brother Howard, yes, I do exactly know who he's talking about.
So
I remember we were all together.
Yeah.
My dad was pastoring, and I can't remember if it was Bowling Green or Glasgow. Can't remember, but I do remember going over to their house, and they was teaching me how to ride a tree down. You climb the tree until it bent over, and you can touch the ground with it. Boy, you was in trouble though if you got a hold of a bad one that snapped, I guess.
Hey, another question folks want to know: what's planned for the Crabb family in the near future or distant future? I know you never can escape your brothers and sisters. Family is always family, and you're doing a great job with your solo career now. But what's coming up with the Crabb family in the distant future, if anything?
We had talked about maybe doing a record, sometime.
Yeah.
And so, who knows? The church is growing, Aaron's church and Restoring Hope. It's growing so much that it's almost getting hard for him to leave. Adam's with the Gaither Vocal Band, so it's kind of, that's going really well. Kelly's out with her family. Yeah. So, who knows what's to come, what there is. I know we'll be doing a few dates coming up.
Yeah, well,
we talked about the record, but I mean, like I said, to get the family all together at one time, yeah, it's kind of crazy. But who knows? Right now, I really don't.
What song ministers to you the most on this new album and this project you're doing?
Well, I would say Chose to Be My Friend is one that really ministers to me. One that I'm living in right now is Short Are the Years.
Yeah.
My kids are growing up so fast. I have one that's 15 and 12, and I remember just seemed like yesterday I was bringing them home from the hospital, being born. And so now I've got one that's got her permit and driving. So it's just crazy. I mean, it really is. But that one right there is I'm kind of living right now.
Yeah.
But
and this is a weird question. Everybody in the world wants to know. It's not a weird question. This is a question everybody. What song does Jason never get tired of singing? Because I know you sing a lot of songs every night. But what one song do you just never get tired of singing whatsoever?
Sometimes I Cry, maybe.
Yeah, I like that song.
That Still Holding On is probably one that I love, and I don't get tired of singing that. Yeah. It's just one of those songs that, you know.
I remember the night Sometimes I Cry won Song of the Year at the Dove Awards. I was there. Yeah. I was there actually sitting there, and I never will forget you went up on the stage, and here come your dad running down the aisle and up on the stage. And you know what? That was a shock to a lot of people, because that genre, it really puts you, it really helped you cross over and be accepted, I think, amongst everyone in the world. Everybody knew how much talent you have. When I talked to my buddies Mac Powell, and I mentioned Jason Crabb, Max is talented guy. I wished I had that ability to do what he's done. What was it like when you won Song of the Year with Sometimes I Cry? I mean, that was a great night for you. I remember. We was in the Fox Theater in Atlanta.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I had no clue that was going to happen at all. Didn't even expect it, you know, because I don't know if Southern Gospel, and that's kind of the category that people had put that record, because it was a little more laid back than a couple of the other records that we had done. But you know, I didn't think that would happen or be allowed. I don't want to say be allowed.
I know. I mean, you don't. But I mean, let's face it. Because of the genre you and I love and we grew up with, we sometimes don't think it's going to get the accolades. But that was a great night for that song and for you guys. Well, buddy.
Well, the funny thing is with the song, like if I was to ask AC, you know, all my peers in AC contemporary music that I get to sing with and travel with sometimes and sing and be a part with, you know, I mean, we were with Casting Crowns not too long ago, and King and Country, and Mac, and just a bunch of people. Jordan Felice was, you know, and so if I was to ask them, hey, what would be your favorite song? It had to be Through the Fire, Sometimes I Cry.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot, and you know this. I mean, a lot of these guys that sing contemporary and other forms of music started just like a lot of other folks in the Southern gospel genre, and they've just moved. And you know, heck, I tell everybody every day I started a Southern gospel DJ and moved on over to the Fish and kept going from there. So I mean, you know, we've got to keep growing and kind of trying to keep maturing and that sort of thing, and we've got to keep building our audience. And you've done a great job of that, my friend. And
well, thank you.
I thank you for. You know what I like about you most of all, Jason, and Jeff said this to me the other day when we mentioned your name. We were talking about the Crabb family. He said, just genuinely nice people. He said, they're just nice people every time I've ever been with them, every time he's been to my church. And I added something else, and I said, you know, Jeff, I've talked to Jason one time before on the radio, and it's been a while, but I said, it seems that they never forget where they came from. And I think that's part of your success is you remember where you came from, and you've got a better understanding as you mature and grow older of where you're going, and you're able to share that with not only the Southern gospel artists, the contemporary artists, the black gospel artists, but the country artists and even the pop artists as well. And you need to be commended for that, friend, because you do stand.
Thank you.
You do stand as like a pastor to a lot of those folks, and I'm sure. And I won't ask you this, but I'm sure there's probably a lot of conversations about faith with certain artists that you could write a book about one day. That people would love to know that information, but it's private, and I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely does. In Nashville, let me go back a couple. I was doing the first thing that you were talking about. I was doing an interview today for a podcast as well called the Jesus Calling podcast, and you know, I got to talking about where I came from and all the things that God has done for me. I said at the beginning I felt like, you know, David kind of being called out of the shepherd's field. Of course, I'm nowhere compared to David in all that he had done. I'm just saying I was probably one of the least of these. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Coming from, praying that God would help you and praying that if we went through a McDonald's, it was a big treat. Somebody had to do something really extra for us to have gone through there. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Maybe a change of clothes to go to school. And my parents did the best as they possibly could for all of us. And it wasn't anything in a neglect kind of way at all. It wasn't that. They did everything that they possibly could. But it was just, there was some tough times. And to go from that to singing on stage, we've been to Carnegie Hall twice, and probably sing at the Opry about 6 or 7 times a year. Mm-hmm. And just Red Rocks and goodness gracious, Brooklyn Tab, everywhere.
Yeah.
And go to that place and go, you know what? I know who I was without the Lord, and I know where I'd be without Him.
Yeah.
And I know that everything that I've ever been a part of is all a gift from God. Each and every day, each and every step, every stage. I'm not smart enough to figure it out for myself. And I've got some brilliant people around me that have really helped guide me through this journey. But, here's the thing about it. They know as well, it has to be the gift of God or a gift from God that would even allow me to get to do what I do. Because I'll tell you, if you sit around me long enough, you'll know that I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. But I will tell you this. I know where my strength and my help comes from. And all my help is from Jesus.
Yeah.
And everything is from Him that I have. Every article of clothing that I have, every new pair of shoes that I put on, every time I turn the light switch on, it is all because He has allowed me to. And so I'm very, very thankful for that. And then plus, on the backside of the question, and actually a comment that you made, there is a lot of wonderful, wonderful believers in this town, in Nashville, and a lot of people that are fantastic believers, and also people that let me know that the music has really touched them in what they do. I had one man that is, if I name his name, people would know him. And after he heard a song, he said, "You know what?" He said, "You sing it like the way that you sing it makes me feel like I have a chance."
Nice.
And I'm like, Lord, thank you for allowing me to be in front of all these people, and allow me to get to be a part of their lives. I mean, you know it as well as I do.
Yeah.
People that I don't know, I kind of like to say kind of the ostrich kind of thing. They just stick their head in the sand, and it's them, and that's it.
Yeah.
Or their way is it.
Yeah.
Then I just don't have time for that. But I get it all the time. People to say, you should hung me out from on north, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, tell me where Jesus would be.
That's right.
Tell me right now where He'd be. Do you think He'd be in your choir loft?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or
I know exactly. You're speaking my language when you say all that. And, from reading your story, from reading your history, from reading where you came from to where you are now, similar parallel background, so I can identify and I can picture myself growing up in a lot of the same situations. What would Jason Crabb say today to that little kid or that teenager sitting in, I'm just going to make up a name here, Antioch Baptist Church in Adel, Alabama, where there's 50 people there, and he sings every Sunday morning at church and every Wednesday night, and every time they have a revival, he goes out and sings. But his dream is to be like Jason Crabb. What would you say to little Johnny right now that has that dream? And Johnny, you're 15 years old and you want to sing like Jason. What would you say to Johnny right now, Jason?
Just keep singing.
Yeah.
With everything that you've got, give it everything that you got. When I was 15, 16 years old, and I was singing, I didn't know any better to hold back.
Yeah.
People used to tell me all the time, said, boy, he ain't going to have a voice by the time he gets 25. He's going to blow his voice out. I mean, I can't tell you how many Southern gospel quartets and gospel groups and everybody that just knew everything about music would come to me and say, boy, you ain't going to make it if you keep on singing like that. And honestly, I think the Lord said, okay, watch this. But it's kind of one of those things to where, I don't want to say don't get aggravated with where you're at, because the aggravation is what pushes you. Don't get disappointed sometimes, because the disappointment is what makes you get up in the morning and keep striving.
Yeah.
So here's what I would say. I would say keep pushing.
Yeah.
Because the aggravation is going to come. The discomfort is going to come. The unsatisfaction is going to come. But all of those, a lot of people would even call it adversity. What adversity does is push you into your destiny. Mm-hmm. So when you wake up in the morning and the adversity comes and makes you feel like, man, I just don't feel like I'm gaining ground. Well, gain ground.
Yeah.
Don't be satisfied with where you're at.
Nice.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
But do everything in your power to broaden. One pastor put it like this. He said, the Lord gives opportunities. Mm-hmm. He said, this table that's sitting in front of me wasn't formed as a table. It was a piece of wood before it was a table.
Yeah. And
before it was a piece of wood, it was a tree.
Yeah.
And so there was a process that it had to go through. And when you ask the Lord for opportunity and a chance, it doesn't mean that the stage is going to be there. Mm-hmm. He just gives you the breath in the morning to get up and saw the tree down and to make some boards and to create the table.
Nice.
You understand what I'm saying? There's work that goes into it. So that's what I tell him. Nice. You can't wake up in the morning and think, oh, man, why can't I be on Brooklyn Tab stage? There's a lot of work that goes into it. And so
Right.
Get to work.
Last question, just refresh the audience about your new album coming, your new project coming out. Say album, Lord, I had dates myself, and I'm only in my 40s. But
you in good shape, my friend.
Tell us about your new project once again, and I know you've got a lot of fun coming up with it. You're going to be at the Singing at Sea. You're going to be over in Gainesville, I believe, next week with Jensen. You're going to be all over the place, but just refresh everybody before we get out of here, because we need to be respectful of your time, and hopefully you'll come on with us at another time.
I'd love to come on with you. Again, please have me on. Yeah, my wife is waiting on me to go eat with her, so I better be done.
Yeah.
But no, the new record is coming out, and I'm very excited about that. April the 20th. It's called Unexpected. Mm-hmm. And it's got a lot of great writers on this record. Neil Thrasher, Jimmy Geary, Tony Wood, Gloria Gaynor.
Yeah.
That wrote I Will Survive. That sang I Will Survive.
Yeah.
My dad.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's just a lot of great voices on here. Gary LaVox sang on this record.
Nice.
From the Rascal Flatts. Just a lot of people. One of the guys, Jason Sheff, he's from the group Chicago.
Yeah.
Sang. So we got a lot of great things that is happening. It's coming out the 20th. You can pre-order today. You can go to jasoncrabb.com. That's 2 B's. And check that out. My friend, thank you so very much for having me. Please, I know Jeff couldn't be with us today, but next time we'll all get together.
We'll do it, my friend. And Jason, we appreciate your time. And do me a favor. Tell Philip Darren said hello, and he'll know who you're talking about. And keep Aaron in line, too. How about that?
Hey, they're good guys.
And that's not, and for listeners out there, that's not his brother, Aaron. That's his friend, Aaron. He knows who I'm talking about. Good guy. Jason, thanks again, my friend. Appreciate you being on SGNP.
God bless you, friend. Thanks for having me.
All right, bye-bye.
SGNP is brought to you by Kia. Join SGNP this summer for the Kia Summer Nights Concert Series, a free concert at select local Kia dealers. The first concert is June 14th with the McCameys at Julio Jones Kia in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
The God on the mountain is still God in the valley.
It's the Kia Summer Nights Concert Series, starting June 14th with the McCameys at Julio Jones Kia in Tuscaloosa. Part of Kia, America's best value summer event. America loves Kia and gospel music. It's the Kia Summer Nights Concert Series, absolutely free. Brought to you by SGNP and Julio Jones Kia in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, June 14th.
And welcome back to SGMP. Darren Sutherland, Jeff Steele in the bowels of the Superdome. Jeff, what did you think about Jason? I mean, just tremendous guy.
Fantastic interview. I could hear most of it here. Of course, every once in a while, somebody would walk by, and I'd have to either speak to them or listen to them speak to me while I'm listening to the interview. Great interview. I expected nothing less. J-Dog is such a... I talked on the Breakthrough show about groups that break through, and I said I thought the most important or the first ingredient had to be that you possessed legitimate kindness, and I'm going to tell you, he absolutely does, and probably to his own detriment. He could probably be in a much larger place in his career, as large as he is now, if he wasn't so kind. He's just so kind to people. We had him at our church one night, and just unbelievable, the crowd. The biggest crowd probably, the very biggest crowd we ever had at our church. He closed down the street. Traffic was everywhere, and there was so much traffic parked all along the streets, the police shut the street down. And they came to me and they said, we're not allowing another person on this street. The fire marshal came to me and said, we're not allowing another person on this property, much less in this building. Well, it was about 20 minutes till 7. I went out to his bus. I said, J-Dog, I said, I'm going to tell you what I've been told. The fire marshal won't let anybody else in. The police won't park anybody else. I said, you can sit out here till 7 o'clock, which was starting time if you want to, but we may as well just go in and get this thing started now because the crowd we have is here.
Yeah.
And we ended up in that church building a new balcony, and I called it the balcony Jason built because that's the reason we built it. We ran out of room to put people.
The one thing I took from the interview, Jeff, that just showed me, he remembers where he came from, those little churches in Kentucky that his dad pastored. And he remembers going around singing when he's 13, 14, 15 years old. And the information he gave young folks is great. But what I thought was so tremendous about the interview is when he talked about his conversations behind the scene with names that everybody out here, if we mentioned, would recognize. And all
he
you got to do,
considers himself to be their pastor.
Yeah, and he could basically one of these days write a book on the conversations he's had with those folks, and people would pay for it. But Jason's the kind of guy that's never going to violate those people's privacy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking major country stars. I'm talking major gospel music stars. I'm talking about secular people. I'm talking about all kind of folks. I mean, if you look at this new album he's got, yes, he's got his dad writing a song, which his dad's one of the best writers that ever walked. And you know that, and you're a great writer. But he's got Gloria Gaynor writing a song. She wrote, everybody knows it. You want to sing it or you want me to? I will survive.
I'm not going to touch it.
I will survive. That's one of those.
You shouldn't have touched it.
You know what I shouldn't have?
Take my example sometime.
Let me ask you this. Do we have to pay BMI royalty rights because I sang the song live on a podcast?
If we do, you do.
But you know what? And then the interesting thing about it, of all the songs he says he loves, and there's been some great ones. Through the Fire. I Keep Holding On. All these songs. He says the best song, the one that he just loves to sing every night, is Sometimes I Cry. And you know what? That song helped bridge the gap for Jason, if you think about it. It was the double.
In an odd sort of a way, it really brought him to the table in Christian music,
exactly,
as opposed to just Southern gospel music.
Right. And, I mean, that put him on a parallel with the folks like Michael W. Smith, Stephen Curtis Chapman. I mean, on, and it gave him he goes on the Grand Ole Opry 6 times a year. I mean, Jeff, how many of us would give our right arm to sing at the Grand Ole Opry? You know, think about that.
Well, that's why I only have one arm now, because I played the Opry.
So, I mean, that's just a blessing. That's just a blessing and a blessing to have. Thank you, Jason. Jason's going to come back with us when he has a little bit more time. He's got that new album's coming out next week. Make sure you get a hold of it. Make sure you download it. Make sure you go buy it. Whatever you need to do. Now, Jeff, let's talk. You're in the bowels of the Superdome, okay?
Yes, I still am.
In New Orleans, Louisiana.
You caught me with a piece of WrestleMania pizza in my mouth right there.
WrestleMania. What'd you pay for the pizza down there in the Superdome?
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm not a drinker, and now I'm really glad I'm not, because it cost $11.50 to get a beer in the Superdome. I didn't buy one. I just saw it on the sign. And they're selling a lot of $11.50 beers down here.
Well, there's a lot of Methodists in the place, and I'm a Methodist, so I can say that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm not, so I'm not going to say that.
We got to keep it real. Hey, you know, I don't drink, by the way. I'll just tell you that, just so for all my King James Version friends, I don't partake, but I just said that just to be funny. So y'all take that as a joke. Let's talk about the Brad Steele Project a little bit, Jeff. Do you know what the Brad Steele Project is? And we're not talking about music here, but what's the Brad Steele Project, Jeff?
I can tell you there's actually 2 Brad Steele projects.
Yes.
His actual project that he produced himself and wrote just about everything on there. I think I have 3 co-writes on his new project.
Yeah.
Darren, it's the best thing I've ever heard. I mean, it really is good. I'm daddy talking, but it's good.
Yeah.
And the new Brad Steele project is, if you're out there and you're over 40 years of age, let's just pick a number.
Yeah.
You probably are like me.
Yeah.
This is a podcast that is wildly successful.
Right.
The downloads in a week have gone into the tens of thousands worldwide.
Folks, it's verifiable. Unlike some people's information, this is verifiable, and we're not. I mean, it's a but God moment, Jeff, on your song "But God." So anyway, keep talking.
Well, if you're like me, and I'm way past 40. Matter of fact, I'm a grown man past 40, that many years. Darren, you understand, I still don't have any idea how to download this podcast. I don't know how to do it. but my son, Brad Steele, is going to show me how. Now, I can listen to it because I can go on Facebook and listen to it where other people have downloaded it and posted it to their page. I can do it there. I've heard all the programs, but as far as going on the Internet and downloading our own project, I don't know how. We have a podcast at our church. Matter of fact, if you ever want to go on there, it's just under the name Dr. Jeff R. Steele. And currently, I have about, 25, 30 of my sermons on there. I don't even know how to go there. I'm on it. I added all the sermons to put them up, and I don't even know how to do it. Don't know how to. I have to give the sermons to somebody else, let them upload them, and I don't have any idea how to download them. My point is this. All of you have children. Some of you are like me. You have children and grandchildren. One of my grandchildren is a 18-year-old boy. The other one's a 15-year-old girl. That's his sister. Then I have 2 that are 6 and 3. And I'm going to have to get Brad to show me how to do it. Once he shows me, I'll be fine. But you've got children. People in our audience have children. Folks, you're going to have to bite the bullet. You're going to have to go talk to your teenagers and 20-year-old children and say, look, hey, I don't get this. You're going to have to show me. But once you get it figured out, then you can schedule downloads of the program to your devices, and you can join us every single week.
All they do, Jeff, it's real simple. You take your iPhone, you hit the podcast button, they search out Southern Gospel News Podcast. Once that icon comes up, and the icon is an old-fashioned microphone, okay? They'll be able to read it. They hit that button and hit subscribe, and every time you and I do a show, like the one we just done with Jason Crabb, it downloads automatically into your phone, and you can listen to it 24 hours a day or whenever you want to listen to it. You can listen to it on the way to work. Most of you, if you've got a car that's a 2015 or newer, it'll sync in with your car. You can listen to it in the radio in the morning on the way to work. If you're walking at night and used to listening to music, you can listen to it at night. So that's the Brad Still Project. So tell your grandkids. And here's the great thing about it. If you hadn't got everything we said the first time, you can rewind what we've just said, play it again, hand it to your grandkids, hand it to your kids and say, hey, I want this. They'll think it's cool. They'll think it's cool that their parents want to hear the podcast. Now, let me say this. If you're under 30 and you don't know how to hook up a podcast, you better talk to your friends and be prepared to be picked on a little bit, okay? Is that fair enough? So anyway.
I guess so.
Hey, I want to do a shout-out real quick to Powell, Tennessee's Inheritance, a good group of folks that's been listening and sharing our podcast all over East Tennessee. They're one of these great groups that spread the love every weekend somewhere from Ohio to Tennessee to Georgia, Louisiana, and they do a great job. And, Jeff, we appreciate them helping us out so much. Jeff and I are kidding around about WrestleMania. We're kidding around about a lot of things. But one thing we're not going to kid around about is, Jeff, we are truly humbled with the amount of people that have listened to this podcast in the past 7 days. And when I say that, you can watch us basically, Jeff, by going to our Facebook page, Southern Gospel News Podcast, and you can see the growth. And last Saturday night, we've decided to quit giving out numbers. We're not going to do that. But when we hit 2,500, Jeff, on Saturday night, I was like, wow. Nick, our producer sitting over here, was like, wow, we've never seen nothing take off like this. But you know what, Jeff? Here's what we did. We underestimated the folks that love good Christian music in this world. We truly did. And we always knew they were there. But we live in a day and age where, Jeff, we can proclaim it, we can send it out. This program, in 3 episodes, has been heard on every continent in the world. Every continent in the world, Jeff, has heard.
And there's 7 of those.
Yes, except Antarctica. We, got to take Antarctica out of the mix. Maybe somebody down there has heard it. I don't know. The penguins are marching to the steels, but God. Okay, how about that? But
I'm for it.
Australia downloads, the Philippines downloads, South Korea downloads, India downloads, Ireland, we've talked about it, Mali in West Africa downloads, Chile in South America, Central America, Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala, Jamaica, Canada. I could go on and on. That's enough about it. But we're just humbled. We wanted to tell you thank you. We want to say thank you to Jason for joining us this afternoon and having a great time with us. Jeff, we got a great interview coming up next week. We've got some great ones coming up in the future. Your buddy Dwayne Allen's going to be coming up in the future. You and I are going to be talking about bus stories in the future. We're going to be talking about all kind of fun things. Go to our Facebook site, recommend who you would love to hear an interview with. We're going to do that. But this isn't just an interview show, is it, Jeff? We're going to be talking more about gospel music than just doing interviews all the time. Don't you agree?
Well, yeah, a lot of people can do interview programs, and that's good. That's fine. I love some of those shows, and we've kind of charted a different course, and it's interesting to see where it's going, quite frankly.
Yeah. And we're going to have a good time. Hey, before we get out of here, tell me what Jeff Steele's up to this week when you leave New Orleans. Everybody's always wanting to know what the Steeles are doing because, you can follow you on the internet at the Steeles on your website, but it's always good to hear from the horse's mouth where the car's going to roll.
I think, April the 20th, we're going to be in Williamston, South Carolina at Trinity Baptist Church at 7 o'clock. first time in the Upstate in 18 years.
Nice.
So you better come see us this time, because I don't know when we're coming back or if we're coming back. That's not an ego statement. That's an elderly statement. I don't know how much longer I'll be doing this. We're still having a great time, and we're going to have a great time Friday night, April 20th in Williamston, South Carolina, our first time in the Upstate in a long time, at the Trinity Baptist Church. Then on Saturday night, April the 21st, we'll be in Reidsville, Georgia, which, quite frankly, Darren, you live in Atlanta. If you had a decent bone in your body, you'd come to see us down there. Actually, probably closer to you in
Williamston.
Yeah,
but, the only thing I've ever heard to come out of Reidsville, Georgia, is the Georgia State Penitentiary. That's where they used to house the electric chair back when the electric chair was in use. But
well, I didn't say where I was going. How do you? We'll be at Tabernacle Baptist Church in Reidsville for a great night there, and then we'll drive half the night to get back to Redeeming Grace Church, where I pastor and where Brad is the worship pastor, and it'll be another full weekend of excitement for us, and we'll be coming off of 3 back-to-back weekends where, like this week with the WrestleMania thing, I won't get home until Tuesday night. Then I'll preach Wednesday night after we do the podcast on Wednesday morning, and then I preach Wednesday night. Then on Wednesday I'll leave as soon as I say amen. I'll get in the vehicle and come to South Carolina for a big share-a-thon with the Life FM network. And I'll be there through Friday, and then I'll go home for my granddaughter's 3-year-old birthday party, and then I'm preaching again at the Redeeming Grace on Sunday. Then on Monday, I'll be in Atlanta with you. We're doing a radio gig there for somebody. I don't. Yeah. And then I'm coming back home, and then we got a couple of interviews.
We got a couple of interviews set up on Monday. I'm gonna go ahead and tell the folks who we're interviewing with Monday. And Jeff and I, you could have found this out on Southern Gospel News Podcast. We would have released it after tonight. But Jeff and I, we got to hurry here, Jeff. Jeff and I are doing a interview with Libby Perry Stuffle, and we're just going to be blunt and honest with you folks. She's going to talk about Tracy, his sickness, what it was like to travel, what it was like, everything that you want to know, and even his homegoing celebration, and how she's keeping on the work of the Perrys today. And Jeff, I look forward to that. I don't look forward on it for Libby to just make you feel bad for her. I look forward to hear Libby's story of victory and how this story will bless other people out there in this world that needs to be uplifted. Don't you agree?
Well, it's going to be a great show, and I especially encourage the people in Ireland to listen, because so many of them follow the Perrys, and they'll be very interested. They're not in a position where they could come to Nashville for the homegoing service of Tracy or anything like that, but they'll enjoy just getting a view into the heart of Libby Perry Stuffle, and that's coming up probably in the next week or so on the podcast.
Next week or so, on podcast. And if you do the Brad Still Project and you get your grandkids to help you download it, you'll be one of the first ones to get it. Jeff, we got to go, my friend. Thank you again for being a part of this. We always have a good time. Thank you, folks, for listening. You want to know about Southern Gospel News Podcast, go to our Facebook page, Southern Gospel News Podcast, SGMP. It's that simple. Website's coming soon. More issues are coming soon. Thank you so much for everyone that's listened. Folks, you don't need a magazine. You don't need this. Listen to it. We'll help you out. Easy enough, Jeff?
Go, Charlotte. You got a big match tonight, and we're pulling for you.
All righty, my friend. Hey, what's wrong with living right anyway, Jeff?
Nothing.
There we go. We'll talk to you soon right here on your home for Southern Gospel News, SGMP.
SGNP is excited you chose to listen today. If you'd kindly leave a remark and rating in the podcast remarks section, we surely would appreciate it. Please share with a friend or family member. Look for us on Facebook, Twitter, and our new website, SouthernGospelNewsPodcast.com. And remember the Kia Summer Nights concert series, all 100% free, coming to a town near you. For more information on the concert series or to advertise your products, services, concert event, or new project on SGNP and reach a 100% guaranteed number of people in your area, call Tim Newton at 770-874-3200 or email him today, tnewton@bgadgroup.com. Let us geo-target our ads for you, something radio nor magazine can do.